Hey everybody, Chef Chad Armstrong here, founder of Home Cook Academy, and welcome to this video lesson on kale. You know, kale is probably one of my family's favorite vegetables or greens to eat throughout the year. And the good thing about kale now is most regions in our society are able to grow it year round. So you can have kale just about all the time, even though it is best and it's at its peak in the fall and the winter months when you have like a frost or a cold snap where it helps just develop those greens and become nice and crisp. It really gets all the nutrients out of it. But we really should be eating as many green or leafy greens as we possibly can in our diet. And I honestly don't think a lot of us do enough of that. So I'm going to show you one way today to go through and how to use kale and just some stuff about it, just to talk about it. This is probably one of the easiest recipes you'll ever see me do on this series or anywhere in this, because it's really just like a 5-minute process of putting things together once you have the kale ready. So kale, just like any other vegetable, grows up out of the ground. It has to be washed and cleaned and taken care of. And I've got some kale here that you can see on my tray. This is totally organic kale. I try and buy organic as much as I possibly can with my vegetables, and the reason being is I don't want them sprayed or pesticides on them or anything like that. So the other side of that though is you have to make sure you clean them really well, because of not the pesticides but because of dirt and bugs. So you can see there's a few little holes in here where some of maybe the aphids got into them a little bit. So you want to make sure you wash those out. It's not going to hurt you. Just make sure if you do it properly, they'll become clean. You get all the dirt out. There is some a little bit of dirt on the back side of some of these as well. So I'm going to show you just a quick way to clean these, and then also get them really dry for making our salad. So kale, let's talk about it, what you can do with kale. It can be used in a wide variety of dishes. We usually put them into our smoothies or our blended juices in the morning. I'll puree maybe a couple stalks of kale with some carrots or some apples or bananas, for that early morning first wake up kind of juice to get going. It can be eaten totally raw. I love it raw, but it can also stand up really well to braising or roasting or even grilling. I've grilled kale before. You may have had kale chips that you bought at the store. You can easily make those in your oven as well at home by just simply slow cooking them on a sheet tray with a little bit of oil and salt, or whatever flavors you want to add to it other than the salt. So there's many different things you can do with kale besides just what I'm going to show you today, or put into a smoothie. So let's talk about first, like how to clean this kale, how to take care of it and get it broken down, and what you can do with it to get it clean. So this is just a green leafy kale, very standard that you see at the store. There's several varieties. There's red, there's Tuscan, there's curly, there's there's a lot of varieties. So you just maybe get to know your farmer, or get to know your local market, the farmers there, and ask them what they grow, and then maybe talk to them about different types that they might have or be willing to try for you as well. But this, you can see the kale has a nice like thick stalk, and the stalk you really don't want to do a lot with. If you are going to blend it, if you have a really high power blender, you can blend these, they will break down. I don't usually recommend eating these raw though, just like when you put them into a salad, that they're really tough and fibrous. If you want to braise them, they will braise. But most people will take it and either compost them or feed them to animals, chickens or pigs love these things. So you need to get that stalk out of the back of the kale. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to just take, if you just take the top of it where it's really thin, and you can break it through that little stalk there, and you can just take and pull down. I'll do it slow. You can get faster as you learn this. But all you do is just pull those leaves straight down off of the stalk, and then that can go into your compost or your scrap bucket for animals. So, and then if you want, you can always just take and break them up, or you can take them, lay them out on a cutting board, and slice them all together. But I really want them to get down into just bite-sized pieces for my salad. So, and I'm going to take and put them, and I'm going to show you what I've got over here. So I've got just a big bowl full of cold water. So it's just as cold as I can get it. And what I'm going to do is do all this kale the same way. So just break through the top part of the stalk and then pull down along the stem and break them up. Just tear them. And then put them in my water. And now once I get all these done, I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna rinse them really well. And if I see that there's still a lot of dirt maybe on there, I'm gonna check them. If there's still a lot of dirt or bugs, I'm gonna go through and make sure those are all gone. I might actually drain this water and redo it again. And you can do it 2 or 3 times to make sure that it's really clean. So, and this is, just to give you a heads up, this is what you can do for any leafy green or vegetable as well. A great way to wash it real quick and rinse it. I definitely recommend getting into like buying your salad greens whole. So buy a whole head of red leaf lettuce or green leaf lettuce or romaine. Wash it this way. Quit buying the stuff that comes in that plastic clamshell or that plastic container. That stuff has been cut up many days ago. It's not going to last very long. Sometimes they pump it with gas to keep it from going bad. Not always the best choice for getting nutrients and vegetables into your system. So I'd rather buy an organic head of lettuce, prepare it myself, wash it this way, and then I'll show you how to dry it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get these torn up, get through the rest of these, and I'll show you how to dry your lettuce and your greens as well. So you can see I've got all of my kale now broken apart. I went ahead and washed it really well, just kind of moved it around, make sure I got all the dirt off of it and any kind of bugs. There was only like one little bug that I found actually. And the dirt will all now sink to the bottom of the bowl. And so what I've got to do now is I've got to dry it. So, with any kind of green that you're going to use for dressing or adding any kind of oil or vinegar to, you always want to make sure it's as dry as possible. Whether it's a dressing or just a straight up vinaigrette, it doesn't matter. If you don't get it dry, your vinaigrette or your dressing won't stick to the leaves and it'll just run off into the bottom of your bowl or bottom of your plate, and you don't want that. So what you want to do is, if you don't have a salad spinner, and that's what this is, and I'll hold it up for this camera, and you can see this is just an OXO. I've had this one for a long time. Very simple, contraption. You put the greens into the strainer and you just push down on this and it spins it at such a high force that it pulls all of the water out of it. It's got a little brake, for you to stop it. And then for storage, it's got a little lever here where you push it over and keep the lid down to make it more compact, so it's not sticking up as high. So I like to use this all the time. I do all of my own, my lettuces, my spinach, all my greens, and I wash them all the same way. And then if I'm gonna store them, they're also dry because water is not good for storage of your greens either. So always get things as dry as possible, both for storage and for dressing as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I'm gonna do. Just take and pull a little bit. You don't want to load this thing so packed full to where it's gonna take forever to spin all out, or the water is coming up so high it's above the bottom of the strainer. So maybe 3 or 4 handfuls is probably adequate for this. Put the lid on, and then you can stand here for a couple minutes and just kind of work it up and down to really spin all that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of this, these greens, get them all dry, and I'll come back and I'll show you how to properly massage your kale. All right, see you soon. All right, so this is the last batch that I've had to rinse here. So let's go ahead and stop that. I went ahead and clean my big mixing bowl out as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour this batch of kale back into it. And you can see just, for a little bit of kale there, how much water I got out of that. So that's quite a bit of water that came out of that little bit of kale. So it's definitely important to make sure that you get it all out, all dry. So I also wanted to mention too, with kale, when you're cleaning kale, when you're washing it, you can also add, if you want to be sure it's extra, disinfected, naturally add, like a half a cup of white vinegar as well to your water mix. And that'll help, get rid of any bacteria, any kind of bugs or anything like that. Maybe there was something in the field that, they weren't sure about. That'll just be sure to help clean and kill any bacteria as well. So I've got all the kale back into my bowl here. And what I'm gonna do, and I want, make sure you have a big bowl. So this is actually, when this gets massaged down, it's gonna be look a lot less. The volume will be a lot less than what it looks now. But what I want to do, and what you need to do with kale, if you're going to eat it as a salad or eat it raw, is you want to break up the fibers. And you can see all these little fibers that run through here. It's really tough. I mean, it's a really crisp, green. So if you were to try to eat this just plain, it's really, you're chewing a lot and having to break through. So if you take and you break them down with your hands, it'll help make that a lot easier. And by adding like your oil and your acid, like I'm gonna use lemon juice today, and your salt, the salt will also help break that down as well. So you can also, the lemon juice eventually over time will break it down too as it sits. So I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. This is probably, for this amount of kale, probably close to a 1/4 cup. A good pinch of salt. And I can always come back and add more salt later if I want. If it didn't, I don't feel like it has enough. I've got the juice of 1 lemon. And when I juice lemons, just a little side note here, when I juice lemons, I like to use my citrus reamer. So to really get all the juice out of your citrus, make sure you have, one of these. I think this is, $2 or $3 at, any home supply store or kitchen store. And when you cut your lemon in half, all you do is just put that into I'll put it down here, into the center of the lemon and twist it, and that'll break up all the fibers and get all of the juice out of your lemon. Especially if your lemon's, maybe not quite ripe or still very firm, you can roll it with the palm of your hand on the table and then do that, or just use this by itself, and this will work and get all the juice out of your lemon. So this is 1 lemon, and you can see how much juice I got out of just 1 lemon. So, when I say 1 lemon, I mean 1 lemon that's been juiced with a reamer, or actually if you have an actual juicer, you can use one of those as well. So go ahead and add that. There's a seed in there. Make sure it doesn't get into my salad. So now the magic happens. This is the fun part. You're just gonna take your hands and you're just gonna start squeezing the kale. So really and you can hear it crunch, and that's what you wanna do. That's what you wanna hear. And really just breaking this up. And this is also mixing up the salt as well, the lemon. This is really just a great way to get out a lot of stress. So, this is a great activity for the kids. Make sure you just have them wash their hands, and because you have to do it for 2 or 3 minutes, really just until you don't hear that cracking, popping sound anymore. And you can see how much I squished down from it was being a completely full bowl down to it's only about half full now. And it'll even go down even more as it sits. But like I said, it's a great activity. My kids love to do this. They're like, oh, I want to squeeze the kale. It's messy, but that's what your hands are for. Your hands are your best cooking tool. So, and on top of this, if I wanted, I could easily turn this salad into something else. I could, this is gonna be great. This is great as is. I mean, really, I'd love having it just as this, just with the lemon juice, the salt, maybe a little pepper, and the olive oil. It's a fantastic, side salad for dinner. But if I wanted, I could take it up, a step further, and I could add more things to it. So when I'm done, don't do it until after you massage it. But after I massaged it and I broke it down to fibers, I could also maybe shave some Parmesan into it. If I wanted to do maybe some gorgonzola and pear chopped up into it, that'd be nice. If I wanted to have a piece of, steak sliced on top of it, I could do that. It's really what you want to do with it. And with the salad too, if it's too acidic, if you find it's too acidic, I did put in the recipe, you can add some honey. So I don't always add honey, I always taste it first, and then if I decide that I need a little sweetness to it, if it's got to be too acidic, then I'll come back and add some honey, but I don't always have to do that, so I'm not actually gonna do it right now, but just know that's an option. I also put in the recipe for a little crunch if you wanted to get a little crunch back into it, because you're breaking up the fibers. Maybe some toasted sunflower seeds or pepitas, which are just pumpkin seeds that are toasted, are a fantastic thing to add to it as well. So you can do many things with this salad. Don't think it's just this. All right, I think that's pretty good. I feel like I've got it pretty well broken down. I'm not hearing a crunch. It's just kind of squishing now. So that's what you want to see. You can see how much that wilted down just from that little bit there. So that's it. I mean, really just a simple, quick, easy salad to make. Hopefully you learned a little bit with the drying of your greens. Hopefully you'll start doing it with your salad greens now, or your lettuces, or all your greens. Invest in a little, salad spinner. It'll make your life, just that much easier. Just for, not only for your sake, but you're getting the most out of your vegetables. If you can buy a head of lettuce or a head of kale or whatever green it may be, it's still intact, it still has that root. So you're getting a lot of the nutrients are coming out of that root. once they cut the lettuce and they put it into those plastic shells, all those nutrients start coming out. You start losing it. Every minute they're losing more value. You're losing out of your body. So, go out, invest in a little salad spinner, clean your greens. Try this with kale. You'll love it. If you haven't had a massage kale salad before, I guarantee it's one of the best salads that your family's gonna love. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this and you want to share it with others, I'd really appreciate it. Maybe there's somebody out there that you think could use this recipe or others that we've had. Go ahead, share it with them. Sign up to or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then also, if you want any more information about what we do, chefchadarmstrong.com. Check out our website. Until next time, get out there and cook, because life is worth cooking. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.